sun shone as if even the sky was celebrating. The flowers were impeccable, the guests were positioned, the soft music filled the hall with a dreamlike atmosphere. Helena, dressed in white, looked stunning. She believed that this was the happiest day of her life. Her eyes were filled with emotion, not out of fear, but out of pure happiness. Everything had been planned to perfection. For months, she had dedicated herself to every detail of the wedding, but inside, there was something she pretended not to feel. The small signs, the delays in messages, the uncomfortable silences. Still, she ignored it all, because love was also about trust. When the clock struck the exact time of the ceremony, all eyes turned to the entrance, waiting for him, the groom. But time passed and passed, and no one showed up. The guests' whispers began low and timid. Then they became restless and embarrassed. Their eyes met in pity. Helena's mother held her hands pale. Her father, with a hard face, was already frowning. And there she was, standing, trying to maintain her smile, her posture, her hope. Minutes became an eternity. The celebrant, uncertain, asked if they should wait longer. That was when a friend of his approached, his cell phone trembling in his hands, and whispered something in the bride's ear. Helena staggered back. He wasn't coming. He wasn't coming. He simply left. A short message said that he couldn't go through with this. No explanations, no courage. He ran away. The scene was a scandal. Helena stood there, motionless, surrounded by looks of pity and judgment. Her soul, in that moment, seemed to have emptied out. It wasn't just the pain of being abandoned. It was the look on her mother's face, disappointed, the subtle contempt of the family that had spent so much on the event, the restrained smiles of some who had been waiting for her downfall for a long time. The humiliation was public. It went viral. Someone filmed it. Someone posted it. And within a few hours, everyone saw the bride alone at the altar, the bouquet still in her hands while tears ran down her makeup. The whispers turned to mockery. Poor thing, some said. She tried too hard, others. But no one asked what she felt, because for everyone the shame was hers, not his, as if the victim felt guilty for having loved too much. Helena locked herself away for days. She stopped eating. She slept with makeup on, as if she was still waiting to wake up from that nightmare. But it was real. It hurt. And there was no way to pretend. If being abandoned at the altar had already destroyed her, what came next was even worse. Her family began to act as if she were a burden. Her mother could not hide her grief. Her father blamed his daughter for the public shame. "Didn't you see the signs?" he repeated. Instead of support, she received criticism. Instead of comfort, she received silence. Every family meal was cold, every conversation a veiled accusation. Her friends disappeared. Maybe because they didn't know what to say. Maybe because they couldn't bear the reflection of their own fear in her story. Helena, once lively, alive, full of dreams, became a shadow. The wedding dress still hanging in the bedroom was a cruel reminder. Every time she walked down the aisle, she felt as if a knife was piercing her chest. And still, no one hugged her. Helena began to disappear from herself. Her clothes were loose, her hair tied up in a mess, her eyes were dull. She avoided mirrors, she avoided going out. She felt ashamed even to breathe, as if her existence bothered her. The days dragged on and she could no longer tell morning from night. The world went on, people went on, but she remained still on the day she was left. The empty advice, like, "You'll get over it," irritated her. How to get over something that was buried alive inside her. She stopped working. She cancelled appointments. and plunged into a void so dense that she almost forgot what it was like to smile. And then, at some random moment between tears and the bottom of a bottle of wine, she looked at herself and whispered, "Either I die here, or I'll be reborn." The next day, Helena woke up with swollen eyes, but with something different pulsing, a small revolt. For the first time, not against him, but against everything she had been made to believe, that she was weak, undesirable, a disgrace. She got up, opened the windows and began to clean the house as if she were driving out ghosts. She tore her wedding dress. She set it on fire. And she watched the flames take away everything she had never wanted to be. Submissive, silent, accepted out of convenience. Silently, she swore to herself that she would never beg for love again, that she would no longer be the woman who had hoped to be saved. That small flame inside her grew. With it came the desire to rebuild, not because of the looks of others, but for herself. Helena went back to therapy. She started writing again. She started walking again. Her steps were small, but each one represented resistance. Her image in the mirror still hurt her, but now she looked back. She looked firmly. She painted the room. She gave away everything that reminded her of him, and she began to reconnect with her essence. The woman who existed before her fiancé, before her rigid family, before expectations. She found new strength, a new voice. She began to dress for herself, to go out on her own, to laugh again. And slowly, the people who had ignored her began to look, not with pity, but with surprise. Because she was no longer the abandoned bride. She was the woman who survived abandonment and moved on. Months later, he showed up. Of course he did. Cowards always come back when they realize they've lost someone valuable. He sent a message. He apologized. He said he was confused, that he didn't know what he felt, that he was still thinking about her. Helena read it and felt her heart tighten. But it didn't shake. Because now, she knew, those who abandon someone once carry the poison of escape. He wanted a second chance. She responded with silence, not out of resentment, but out of maturity. Because forgiving doesn't mean allowing someone to return. It means moving on in peace. And at that moment, she was sure she no longer needed anyone to feel whole. Helena started a business, small but her own, aimed at women who had also gone through emotional trauma. She created a support network, a safe space, and it was in this space that she healed completely. She saw the same pain she had experienced in the eyes of other women, and she also saw in them the hope of overcoming it. With each story told, she felt as if a piece of her own past was being reinterpreted. And for the first time she understood. The pain was not in vain. It was a seed. The shame became fuel. The empty altar became a stage for rebirth. And she, the woman left behind, became a reference. One day during dinner, her mother discreetly praised her strength. Her father, with a softer look, asked about the business. Helena did not respond with resentment, but she did not seek approval either. She did not need that anymore. They had judged her at the moment when she needed support the most. But still, she forgave them, because now she was free. And freedom does not go with resentment. She said she was fine, that she was happy. And in that respectful silence between them, there was something new. Admiration. Not for what she had suffered, but for what she had done with the pain. Helena now walked with her head held high. Her photos on social media showed a confident, elegant, serene woman. She did not boast about her pain, but she did not hide it either. It was her story. It was her power. Many still recognized her as the abandoned bride, but she no longer cared. because she knew she was no longer that. She was much more. And those who knew her story knew that there was fire there. Courage. A silent strength that did not need to prove anything to anyone. He appeared without promises, without haste, without lies. He was different. Someone who didn't want to save her but to walk beside her. Someone who respected her, admired her. She was afraid, but she was honest. She told him everything, and he didn't run away. He said she was the strongest woman he had ever met. And for the first time, she believed him. Not in what he said, but in what she felt about herself. Because she no longer needed to be loved to feel alive. And maybe that's why love finally found her. Helena returned to the wedding venue. The hall was now empty, abandoned. She walked to the altar and smiled, not with pain, but with peace. There, in that same place where she was hurt, she understood that she had not been left behind. She had been set free. Sometimes abandonment is the greatest gift that life can give, because it forces us to look at ourselves, to rebuild ourselves. And there, among the ruins of a frustrated dream, she blossomed. Helena was no longer the bride. She was the whole woman, the free woman, and finally, her own woman.